Hi, welcome to my channel, Math Made Easy with Laurel. I'm Laurel, and in this video we're going to take a look at some examples of finding derivatives. In the previous video, we looked at 4 rules for finding derivatives. I want to continue using those rules in this video, but we'll take a look at examples that are maybe a little more difficult, and we'll look at some examples that are application. Let's just start with an example that's similar to the ones that we were doing in the last video. So I could use the notation y prime. I could use the notation dy dx. If instead of a y there, if it would have been described as f of x, then the notation we would use is f prime of x. So you can use a different notation depending on how the function was given to you, and there's going to be some other considerations that I'll talk about when we look at some other examples. So when I find the derivative of each term, remember the derivative of a constant times a function of x is the constant times the derivative of a function of x. So the derivative of x to the 6th will be 6x to the 5th. Minus 2, the same thing here. The derivative of x to the 5th will be 5x to the 4th. With both of those, the rule is if you have x to the n, the derivative will be n times x to the n minus 1. So I'm just using that rule for all of these. So this derivative would be 4 times the derivative of x to the 4th will be 4x cubed. The derivative here will be 7 times the derivative of x squared will be 2x to the 2 minus 1 is 1, plus 8 times the derivative of x to the 1 is 1x to the 0, which is just a 1. The derivative of a constant by itself, it's not multiplied to a function, is 0. The derivative of a constant times a function is the constant times the derivative of a function. So just keep that straight. And now we just clean this up and we're done. So we'll have 18x to the 5th minus 10x to the 4th plus 16x cubed minus 14x plus 8. That is the derivative of this function. This is the instantaneous rate of change of this function. Sometimes you're going to be asked to evaluate derivatives at specific values or points. So for example, if I was asked to find f prime of 1, that's telling me to find the derivative when x is 1. So if I put a 1 in, I'll get 18 times 1 to the 5th minus 10 times 1 to the 4th plus 16 times 1 cubed minus 14 times 1 plus 8. So you might be asked to find the derivative at a specific point, or you might just be asked to find the general expression for the derivative or the instantaneous rate of change of the function. So we've done this in the last video. Hopefully you've had enough practice that you're very comfortable with this, because I want to take a look at some examples that are a little trickier. So let's take a look. So you might encounter an expression like this one, and before you start differentiating, you have to put each term in a form that allows you to differentiate with the rules that we've taken. So that means I'm going to write, wherever possible, a constant times a power of x. So this square root of x, I need to rewrite that or rethink it as x to the 1/2. Plus 2 times square root of x is x to the 1/2, and when it's in the denominator, if I take it out of the denominator, the exponent becomes negative. So I can rethink this as 2 times x to the negative 1/2. Similarly with this quotient, I don't want to leave it in that form. I need to write it as 4 times the power of x, and that power of x would be x to the negative 5. And remember that pi, although we use a symbol to represent pi, pi is a specific number. It's a constant number. So remember that when you're differentiating. It is not a variable. Now that we have everything written in this form, I can differentiate. My derivative will be equal to 3 times 1/2 x to the negative 1/2 plus 2 times the derivative of x to the negative 1/2 will be negative 1/2. X to the negative 1/2 minus 1, you got to know your fractions. That would be negative 3/2. Minus 4 times the derivative of x to the negative 5 will be negative 5. X to the negative 6, remember you're subtracting 1, plus the derivative of pi is 0. Now we'll just clean it up. So it will be 3/2 x to the negative 1/2. 2 times negative 1/2 will be negative 1 times x to the negative 3/2. Negative 4 times negative 5 is plus 20 times x to the negative 6 plus 0. I'm going to leave my result with negative exponents. Again, check with your teacher what you're expected to do. If you can go from this step to this step, that's great. I'm not always going to show this intermediate step. I'm just doing it initially, but eventually I'm going to start going straight from here to here, and hopefully you'll follow. In my next example, I have circumference of a circle. Circumference is equal to pi times diameter. So if I'm asked to differentiate, this is like my dependent variable. This is like my y. This is my independent variable. So the circumference of a circle is going to depend on the diameter. So therefore, I'm going to start using this notation. When I get away from x's and y's, I often use this notation, so it's very clear to anybody that's looking at it that I'm differentiating the function c with respect to the independent variable d. When I do that, I'm going to get pi times the derivative. This is d to the 1, so the derivative of that is 1d to the 0. So the derivative of the circumference with respect to the diameter will be pi times 1. So that would be the rate of change. That would be the derivative. Let's take a look at some more. My next example is area of a circle. Area equals pi r squared. So again, this is my dependent variable. Area depends on r, which is the radius, and pi again is a constant. So the derivative of a with respect to r will be equal to pi is a constant, times the derivative of r squared. The derivative of r squared will be 2 times r to the power of 1. So we could write that derivative as 2 pi r. So you're going to get into those kinds of applications when you're asked to find rates of change, and it's still the same format. Although you might not have numbers as your constant, you might have symbols, but they're not variables. This represents a specific value, which is constant. Our next example has 2 independent variables. So this is volume of a cylinder. We have volume equals pi times radius squared times height. So in an example like that, if you're asked to differentiate, you have to be told which variable that you differentiate with respect to. I could be differentiating with respect to r or h. So in this case, I'm asked to find dv dh. So it's asking me to find how volume is changing when height is changing. So the assumption here is that the radius is staying constant. So we're finding the rate of change of the volume as the height is changing. So this whole thing, even though this is a variable, in some of these formulas, you have to treat them as constant values when you're differentiating with respect to a different variable. And in this case, it's important to write this notation. If you write v prime, it's going to be very confusing for anybody looking at this question because they don't know what you're differentiating with respect to, the r or the h. So you have to be very clear. So we leave the pi r squared, and then we find the derivative of h. This is like h to the 1. So the derivative of h to the 1 is 1 h to the 0. One h to the 0, h to the 0 is 1, so that's just a 1. So here's our derivative. Let's do this same example, but let's differentiate with respect to radius. So if we were asked to differentiate volume of a cylinder with respect to the radius, now we're going to assume that the height is staying constant. And we want to know, as we're changing the radius, how does that affect the rate of change of the volume? We could write this in a different order where we put pi and h together and r squared separate, because if h is constant, then pi times h is constant. So just treat it like it was a number. Could be a number 3. Doesn't matter what it is, it's just a constant. So now when I take the derivative with respect to r, I leave the constant and I multiply by the derivative of the function of r, which is r squared. The derivative of r squared is 2 times r to the power of 1. So this derivative could be written as 2 pi h r. So again, the notation is important in an example like this where there is more than one independent variable. One type of application that you're going to see a great deal is displacement as a function of time. So s is the variable that's typically used for displacement, often measured in meters, but it could be kilometers, it could be miles, it could be feet. The unit should be specified in the question. Time is often expressed in seconds. And we're given a function for displacement as a function of time. We're then asked to evaluate the instantaneous velocity at t equals 5 seconds. So in order to find instantaneous velocity, we have to understand that instantaneous velocity is the same as the instantaneous rate of change of the displacement with respect to time. So in other words, what we're trying to find is ds dt. That is instantaneous velocity. So we're going to find the instantaneous velocity in general, and then we're going to evaluate it when t equals 5 seconds. So ds dt will be equal to negative 9.8 times the derivative of t squared, which is 2t, plus 30 times the derivative of t. Hopefully you're comfortable with me just putting a 1 there. T to the 0 is 1. Plus the derivative of 50 it's a constant by itself, so it's 0. So we would say ds dt would equal negative 19.6t plus 30. So here's the expression for instantaneous velocity. When they ask you to evaluate it at a specific time, there's a notation that you can use to show that. And that notation looks like this. You write ds dt and then you put a vertical line and then you put t equals 5. So when you write that, that means the derivative of s with respect to t when t is equal to 5. And now we can evaluate that by putting a 5 in for t. So that would be negative 19.6 times 5 plus 30, which is negative 98 plus 30, which is equal to negative 68. We're not done, because when you have an application like this and you know the units, you need to include the units. It's a rate of change, so it should be, the unit should be something per something, and it would be whatever the units used for the dependent variable divided by or per the unit used for the independent variable. We would say the instantaneous velocity is negative 68 meters per second. These kinds of questions are going to be common. This is where you're going to be using derivatives. So it's important to understand the notation in general and then for specific values. And it's important to understand your rules and put everything all together. The biggest thing I can suggest is that you go out and you find examples to practice. Do as many as you can. Don't be intimidated if you have other variables in there. Just follow along the way I did my examples, follow your rules, and get confident and competent, because we're going to be moving on to other derivative rules, and it just builds. And if you don't know these rules, it's going to be hard to learn the ones that follow. So in the next video, we're going to talk about the product rule, but make sure you know this before you move on. All right, take care.